Hi, my name is Chuck Cross. I'm a Senior Technical Service Advisor for Haldex Brake Corporation. Obviously, brake drag is bad. Shown are two springs. The larger spring is used on the power side or the emergency parking brake side and is the spring that is used to mechanically park the vehicle. The smaller spring is located on the service side of the spring brake or the service side of a brake chamber. This is the spring that is used to help retract the brake adjuster when the brakes are released. These springs should be checked for even push rod retraction. If you notice that a push rod is not retracting evenly, there's a good chance that a spring is broken. We're all familiar with standard service chambers and spring brakes, but now these chambers are being offered in a long stroke application. Identification of long stroke chambers can be accomplished by looking at the ports. In the case of a spring brake, you'll notice on the right side picture that the ports are square. This indicates a long stroke chamber, which gives you more stroke to use in an application. Haldex offers a LifeSeal spring brake actuator. As you look at the picture on the left, you will notice that there are no vent holes on the emergency side of this spring brake. We vent our spring brake through a patent-protected seal that we use internally to exhaust the air through the service brake system. The advantage of this system is it prevents contamination from entering the parking side of the spring brake. Preventing contamination from getting into the parking side of the spring brake is key to longevity of any spring brake. Shown here is typical brake hardware. Haldex always recommends replacing all brake hardware when doing a reline. Haldex also recommends replacing camshaft bushings with every reline. This is an example of a cam bushing using a nylon style bushing. These should be checked for wear at every brake reline. When replacing cam bushings and replacing seals, the seals should always face inward. The reason for this is so that the inner seal will allow the grease to escape, thus preventing the seal from blowing out if we put too much pressure or pack the grease too much. In this slide, we'll discuss S-cam identification. There's many different S-cams out there for different makes and models. There's left-hand and right-hand cams. There are different spline diameters. As an example, steer axle brakes typically have 1.25 inch diameter, drive axles 1.5 inch, and some trailer applications 1 5/8 inch spline. The number of splines is also key when identifying a cam. There's a 10-tooth spline, a 28-tooth spline, a 37-tooth Propar spline, so making sure you know the number of splines when replacing a camshaft is critical. The other information you need to know is dimension A. The distance from the snap ring to the groove is key. Also dimension B. Again, under the head to the snap ring groove at the bearing surface. Brake adjusters should also be checked at every reline. Make sure that we have the proper lengths on all slack adjusters. Slack adjusters are bi-directional. They have different service ratings based on vocation. There is our severe duty and a standard duty. And there should be an inspection, and let's not forget to grease these again when we do a brake reline. Remember that there are manuals and there are automatic slack adjusters out there, or what we call automatic brake adjusters, ABAs. And lastly, remember that ABAs have been mandated by Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standard 571.121 since October 1994. And automatics cannot legally be removed or replaced by manual adjusters. Earlier in this presentation, we discussed the AL factor. So let's explain it in a little more depth. AL, area of the diaphragm or area of the brake chamber, times the L, which is the length of the slack adjuster. A type 30 chamber, that means that there are 30 square inches of effective area across that diaphragm. A 5.5 inch slack adjuster means that from the center of the cam spline to the center of the pin, it would be 5.5 inches. If we multiply the length of the slack times the size of the chamber, we have an AL factor of 165. In this slide, we show what happens when somebody removes the slack adjuster and replaces it with one of a longer length. This is a brake formula that we use. And in this case, somebody removed a 5.5 inch slack and replaced it on the bottom formula with a 6 inch slack. You'll notice that the brake output force increased from 59.38 with a 5.5 inch slack to 64.78 with a 6 inch slack. Somebody changed the AL factor on that particular wheel, and what that will cause, it will cause the brake lining of that particular wheel to be more aggressive than the others. AL factors across all wheels on the rears of a vehicle should be the same. We can also change the AL factor by changing the type of chamber. If we remove a type 24 chamber and install a type 30, or vice versa, we can change the AL factor. In this case, on the top formula, we show a type 24 chamber versus a 6 inch slack. That would be an AL factor of 144, which gives us a brake output force of 5,176. In the bottom formula, we replace the 24 chamber with a 30, which gives us an AL factor of 180, and our brake output force increased to 6,478. We would not have brake balance across the axle if we changed the AL factor. For more information, please visit us at haldex.com.